Welcome to today's edition of Wase Unfiltered. Today we're diving into a really wild story. Really wild. One that sounds like a movie, but it is real life. A Nigerian professor and lawyer takes on a murder case in Prague, defends the country, wins, and 20 years later, he says the same Nigeria he served is now trying to silence him. No payment, 5 months behind bars, and now death threats. From who? Well, they say it is always sweeter when you hear it straight from the horse's mouth. His name is Professor Usman E. Asu. And trust me, you have never heard anything like this. We will get right into it after the break. Stay with us. This is Wase Unfiltered. No filters, just the truth. Welcome back, family. This is Wase Unfiltered, where nothing is sugar-coated. This is the show that gives voice to the voiceless. If you're watching us for the first time, welcome. You're definitely in the right place at the right time. To be part of our growing community, just click the link in the description. And hey, don't forget to like this video. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop fresh content. And of course, subscribe and share so together we can amplify more voices like yours. I remain your host, Ibrahim Umaru Asi, and with me is my ever-energetic co-host, Tim Ilumba. Now, let me take you straight into today's story. Imagine this. You fight for your country in a foreign court. You win. You defend her name, and years later, the same country you served throws you behind bars, refuses to pay you, and you start getting death threats. Crazy, right? But that's exactly the story my guests have today. He's not just a professor. He's not just a lawyer. He's the man who stood for Nigeria in the Prague case that shocked the world. Please help me welcome Professor Usman E. Asu. Prof, it is so good to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, Prof, let's start straight here. When you first got that call to represent Nigeria in Prague, did you ever imagine that 2 decades later, the battle wouldn't be in a courtroom, but for your very own life? Sets a background to the story.
Absolutely not. It sounds more like a Nollywood movie and a Bollywood movie and a Hollywood movie. Actually, quite strange. Today is a very sad day, not only for the state, Nigeria, and people, the state individually, but also for myself. Because this story, I have tried to keep it under wraps for the last 2 decades plus, hoping that something will change. Unfortunately, we've not had any headway or breakthroughs. I'll do the history in 2 forms, from 2003 to 2023, and from 2023 up to date. Excuse me. In 2003, a senior diplomat who is also director of the NIA, National Intelligence Agency of Nigeria, was shot and killed, 2 bullets to the heart, 1 to the head, inside his office in the Embassy of Nigeria in the Czech Republic, Prague. Who was the culprit? A medical doctor named Mudru Jiří Pasovsky, who went under the name Duhak. Duhak in Czech language means rainbow. He was an agent of the BIS, Bezpečnostní informační service, which is the služby, rather, which is the Czech counterpart of the NIA. What happened? Apparently, Mudru Pasovsky was 419. 419, as we know, is a section of the Nigerian Penal Code, which talks about advance fee fraud by unscrupulous elements from around the world, not only in Nigeria. The same way he killed Why was the cousin, no, nephew of the late Kensar Weaver? We all know who that person is, who was hung by
Sure.
Abacha, if I'm not mistaken. Now, after he was killed, I know why personally. I know him because him and my uncle joined the service together in 1978. I knew him even as a service diplomat in Czech Republic in Prague. I used to visit him both in the office and home. He was the one that actually advised me then not to abandon the Nigerian citizenship and accept the Czech one. Although they've lifted that law, now you can have multiple citizens. Why was killed inside his office, defending not only the country, but the ambassador then, late JJ Ayorinde. The story goes as such. Pasowski comes to the embassy with his Brazilian issued Taurus caliber .22 and 50 bullets. He asks to see the ambassador and to have a meeting with all the senior staff, which means all the diplomats, not the local staff. Why meets him at the reception, tells him, excuse me, you've always been coming here, you've been meeting me, I've been attending to you, so why do you want to meet the ambassador? Unbeknownst to why, he had a box of 50 bullets inside his bag. They went into Wise office. The next thing, according to Abubakar, who was the finance chief, the financial attaché at the time, he said he heard through the walls, please don't shoot, please don't shoot. We heard puff, puff, and then puff, three bullets. Why? Let me give you a little picture. Why was 1.47 meters, Pasowski was 1.9 meters, which is 1.97 meters, which is almost 2 meters. So you can understand that it wasn't even a match to start with. Now, the embassy was shut down in 2020, 2003, and then reopened in 2005. No, it was not reopened, but the ambassador then, Nuhu Bajoga Audu, was accredited to the Czech Republic. Upon pressure from the Nigerian Union in the Czech Republic, of which I was then the vice president, and then the Nigerian government, the case was reopened. The government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria searched for extensively legal representation of the federal government and deceased family. They could not find one. We were then recommended to represent the federal government and its family, which we did. We told them from the cost, everything is outlined in the documentation, both to the embassy and then to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Justice and Presidency. We were promised repeatedly that would be paid. Um, we began the work at our own cost and expenses. I was lead counsel. There were other counsels. There were about 24 from the law firms. And then there was the ballistic expert, medical experts, the psychology experts, and epilepsy experts. So all those people were paid as consultants, or were contracted them as consultants, but where they were not paid. They should have sold off already, but based on our promises to them that they should hold on and hold on and hold on, we still haven't been sued to court because of that. Now, 2005, when the matter was reopened, we went to court. Um, the trial began. We asked all the relevant stakeholders, including my trip to Nigeria to interview with the key stakeholders, including Ambassador Yorinde Abubakar, who was in Funtua. I had to go to Funtua to interview him.
Yeah.
Following, I think, was Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Justice, and I met with some people from NI. Flew back into Prague. The matter began, and then the ambassador was in Prague. The minister chancellor, who's Ambassador Tunde Ajishomo, was also in Prague. The PEMSEC was in Prague. Senior NIA staffs were in Prague with the legal counsel. The matter, the whole trial began and ended with a conviction, which means we did our job. And this was confirmed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice without finding any single iota of negligence or compromise or otherwise. We have the documentations to show that. Fast forward a little bit. Um, the defense counsel, who was already late, appealed the matter. The prosecution appealed the matter. We could not because we represented the deceased family and the state. So we're only there for the interests of the deceased family and the state. He was found guilty and committed to 8 years in prison. But upon appeal, we informed the embassy that since the PEMSEC came in with the ambassador and senior staff of the NIA during the trial, somebody from the presidency, possibly the vice president, the NIA director himself, the minister of foreign affairs, should come for the appeal. Guess what? Not even a cleaner, I repeat, not even a cleaner from the embassy came. Nobody came from Nigeria. So the defense on argument before the courts, apart from the legal argumentations, was that even the government and the people were not interested. So why would they send him to prison for that extended number of years? Recall that the Czech Penal Code is a little bit funny, but for those who know it, Section 219 says if you kill somebody, if you commit murder, and in the process you also injure somebody else with the intention of committing another murder, the maximum you can get is 20 years to life. Now, it's not so compulsory as the Nigerian legal jurisprudence. Why? Because the judge still has some leeway to decide. It's not a compulsory sentence. So that's why he got 8 years in prison. When I discuss this far and wide, they're like, for murder, this you get only 8 years. Yes, that's the legal jurisprudence of the Czech Republic. But the funny part really was since he was committed from 8 to 5 years, under Czech rules, 1 day inside the prison equivalent to 2 days. Sorry, 1 day inside the prison, 2 days outside. So by 2.5 years, he was already out. Now, you would think, okay, it's already ended, but it's very far from it. The first thing he did when he came out was he requested to get audience with Ambassador Catherine Uyok Okon after the embassy was opened in Prague. Irrespective of not being paid for our legal services and pursuing it back and forth and getting the promises from the government that we will be paid, they now contacted us to ask to seek advice on how to proceed. Well, it was equally an NIA staff who reached out. I told them clearly, I said, look, the mailman does not ring the bell once. He rings the bell always twice with the intention of, okay, maybe I rang the bell the first time, you probably in the bathroom or busy. By the second time, at least you come out. Pasovsky began something. His intention was to finish everybody in the embassy, but he has not. So he wants to conclude that part. And I advise them to inform the diplomatic police without undue delay, and then to set up the security perimeter, especially for the ambassadors section, which is upstairs, which they obliged immediately. Um, I backtrack a little bit. Why? Because for the full content to be understood, after we successfully prosecuted the matter and the judge found Judge Spraker, that's her name, uh, very amiable lady, smart, intelligent, and down to earth. The federal government of Nigeria, through the ambassador, instructed us in writing not to pursue compensation for the deceased family, which is over $800,000, which we sought. Up until today, we don't have any contrary instructions from the government. So the late Wise family lost almost $1 million. This was in 2005. If you calculate that in today's terms, well, I'm not a physicist, I'm not a mathematician, but you can know how much they lost. Um, when the matter was about to expire, which is a 10-year statute of limitations, we informed the presidency. Everything I'm telling you about is in writing. I don't do verbal because there's always the possibility of denial. We informed the presidency and Ministry of Justice and say, look, if you want to appeal this matter, you want to look into this matter, this is how you proceed. You have X number of months to be able to invest to Czech Republic, the government, and then know if you want to pursue it or not. We didn't hear back from them until then. I have been to Nigeria and back to Czech Republic over 150 times because of this case, either instructing the government or advising the government and seeking compensation for remuneration. I'll get back to the figure when as we proceed. Um, this is up until 2023, the second part now. From 2023, which is about the same time that Buhari handed over to the current president,
Administration.
we continued pursuing the matter with the current dispensation, especially numerous correspondences to the NIA director, NSA, the chief of staff to the president, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is the office of the minister, the office of the minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Justice, and then the secretary of the federation. The last correspondence was to both the chief of staff to the president and the legal counsel to the president. How did we get there? Well, in 2023, we wrote to the NIA director, the DG, Rufai, Ambassador Rufai, and we received a call. That call I missed, and then when I called back, somebody picked it. It was an SHD DG, the Ambassador Rufai, that he's been instructed by the ambassador to reach out to us and to warn us not to demand our payment from the NIA henceforth, and if we do not stop, cease and desist, then we will see. Immediately, I got off the phone with him. I wrote a letter which was delivered by courier to the chief of staff to the president. I did not hear back from them until I received a letter which already forwarded to the editor with the letterhead or the subject matter NIA's threat to my life. But he was asking for a meeting, a Zoom meeting, to discuss our financial remuneration and then payments. At which point he asked us to forward all the documents again for the like 1 millionth time, which we did. And as usual, he said he forwarded it again to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Now, let me interrupt a bit and explain something here for the listeners, the viewers, and even those in authority. All our correspondences to all the authorities, this is what we have found out, even discussion at the highest level, from the presidency to the Minister's Office, Foreign Affairs, Justice, and the Secretary of the Federal Government. What we found out is NIA says The staff, why was on loan to Foreign Affairs, therefore they will not pay. This was what they call immigration in those days. Foreign Affairs says why was not a staff of Foreign Affairs, so they will not pay. So it's been a ping pong game between Foreign Affairs and NIA, which has resulted in the current astronomical figures because this invoices and the costs and interest does not decrease, it always increases. Under Nigerian rules, I believe is Section 10 of the Workers' Compensation Act. It clearly states, and the secretary to the federal government had made it very clear when he analyzed it, that the MDA, where the person is employed, is responsible. And I told Ambassador Rufai in 2023 that he can dance around this, but his NDA would be the one to pay. Now, what's NI? NI is under NSA, which is under the presidency. So, bottom line is the president that will pay, or the presidency that will pay. So, this matter of shooting the ball from NIA to justice to foreign affairs and then back is just costing the country more. Um,
Sure,
I'll
Prof.
stop there
That's
and
true.
let me talk about yeah.
Yeah.
Let me talk about now how this whole thing got out of hand. See, when you get a threat, especially from the National Intelligence Agency, which has ample powers to do and undo, I would say sometimes it's almost unchecked. You take it seriously. And it's documented that I already wrote to the presidency and I have a reply from the Minister of Justice, even though not the presidency directly. And the title very clearly states. So it's already documented.
Well, Prof, let me interject before you.
Please go ahead.
Prof, are you with me? I said, let me interject from here. You talk about a lot of things that really interested in, and I believe our viewers will be interested in also. Part of which is you won that case abroad, carried Nigerian flag high. But fast forward 20 years, you say the same country hasn't even paid you. How does that even happen?
No, they have not. And it's the reason I explained to you already. It's not like the funds are not in the budget, but the Minister of Foreign Affairs is saying that why was not their staff? NI is saying he was on loan to Foreign Affairs. So they keep on playing this ping pong game. And it's the country that will suffer because currently, let me just give you the figures. I said I was going to get to the figures in a minute. The current figure is 14.8 million euros. That's including the original cost of the invoice, which was 532.32 euros. That's the original invoice, which was 20 years ago. The current invoice with the interest and cost and expenses, which is always increasing monthly and daily, is over 14 million euros. So you can do the calculation by yourself. NIA says he's their staff, but he was on loan to Foreign Affairs. Foreign Affairs says he's not their staff, so they will not pay. It's only the president can decide this, nobody else. And it's under his
Yeah,
own office, which is NIA.
yeah. You mentioned traits. Let's be blunt. Do you believe the presidency itself knows what is going on and is looking the other way?
Well, that's why I said I don't do phone calls, I do documentations. And I did not even deliver this mail myself. I sent it through a courier and have the receipt of the courier that was delivered. The fact that the presidency instructed the Ministry of Justice, which under the letter reference in the letter, which I already forwarded to your editor, it says State House. It talks about the reference number. And then the subject heading of that particular mail that we received from the Ministry of Justice said NIA threat to my life. So that means the presidency already knows. Whether it's looking the other way, it's not looking the other way. It really doesn't matter. Now, let me say
No,
something.
sure. Yes.
In the Czech Republic and the EU, if you write a letter to any government institution, they give you 30 to 60 days. If you reply, you don't reply, you reply negatively, you reply positively, or you just simply refuse to reply. The authorities, by law, they take it as positive response. Positive response means if I tell you I demand payment for my invoices, you just simply ignore it. Means you actually are saying yes, you owe that amount of money and then you will pay. If I write you saying the NIS director, Ambassador 5, threatened my life through his essay, and you ignore it, they'll automatically say it is a confirmation that you have confirmed that the threat was real, legitimate, and present. Unfortunately, on this side of the African continent, and I say that with all due respect because I work with the African Union for 5 years as the head of legal in Nairobi, compliance risk manager. Actually, I did a lot of things, but pretty much the legal aspects of it. I know African Union, I know the African states, including ECOWAS, because we work with them, all the 8 regional economic communities. I know them very well. And I was based out of Nairobi with frequent travels to Addis. I know how the governments work. Unfortunately, you don't have that here. The rule is what the person in office says it is, irrespective of what the rule on paper is. You can go to court to enforce it. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. And when the judgment comes, again, it goes back to the same authorities to enforce that judgment. So it is what it is.
Really, it is what it is. So, Prof, let's be real. Are you saying powerful people at the top are deliberately blocking your payments? What's the reason behind it? Do they want a cut from that money?
Okay. That's a very interesting question. I will explain it this way. I have been told to give up to 90% of that money. Recall, I'm not the only one. We are over 20 something of us, almost 30. Um, I've declined. I've been told to come in and negotiate. And I asked them, okay, what are we renegotiating? Because you just don't walk in blindly. You must have an agenda of what you discussing or what you negotiating. Um, I've also been told that that money was paid and already eaten. I said, look, if it was paid to our account or given to us, you have to prove. If you prove that it was given to us, fine. If you prove that it wasn't given to us, then we did not receive any payment from anybody. Now, the other part is the threats part. The threat part is maybe they probably didn't think I would take it seriously, or they probably think, okay, since it was just a phone call, it will not be documented. But NIA has logs. I know that as a fact. There's no phone call that you make from a normal line, and that's not logs. So you cannot tell me NIA is like the CIA, the BIS, all the intelligence agencies around the world. They have logs. There's no way you're going to make a phone call from that line inside the office that they don't have a log. They know what he said. They know our conversation with the SHD past DG Ambassador 5. They've listened to it. Now, whether they're acting on it or not, I don't know. The third part of it, I've been told, was just to scare me off, not to pursue this payment and to bring to light all the anomalies in this case. That's what I've been told from very high up, from very high up. If I may just finish and then get to the part where I was incarcerated. And I make this connection, although there's no concrete evidence, but if somebody threatens you and anything that comes out of that, you know there's a connection between that and the actual threat or execution of the threat. Okay. Since 2005, like I said, I've been to Nigeria over 150 times pursuing this funds and advising the government. And at least more than 5 years of that have been in hotels. I don't have a house in Nigeria. I don't reside in Nigeria. I am Nigerian as well as other citizenship, but I don't have a house in Nigeria. Coming and going and coming and going, you know, you incur expenses, and the expenses continue to rise from hotels, from logistics, from air flights, from insurance, etc., etc., etc. Now, why I say the NIA threats have been real is this. Staying in a hotel and paying your bills, we know that a debt is a civil matter. It is not a criminal matter. When a debt is converted from civil, especially when you have an agreement to pay the debts, then the debt is not the the recipient of the agreement in favor does not go to court but goes to the police, and then the NIA is involved, and then you go before the magistrate, and the magistrate tells you for a simple debt matter, uh, you don't have bail. You just laugh. While the same magistrate grants bail to somebody who threatened a woman with weapons, guns, machete, destroys property, bail to that person in my presence. It's not like somebody told me. And I analyzed this, and I wrote to the chief registrar of the court. I said, how can you grant bail to X for destruction of property with weapons, threat of life with weapons, and then just for a simple death, you don't grant bail? What is your justification? This is all copied and sent to the presidency, by the way, again by courier, so they know. The president cannot say he doesn't know. Now, the same magistrates, after 4 months plus, sits ex ofo, now granting bail without a bail application. You ask yourself, what is wrong? Because this is not just the system issue. If the system issue, you find out when you read my, writing 2 books now. I began writing from inside Kefi prison, the correctional center. You ask yourself, this is beyond just normal issues with the delinquency of the judicial process, but it has to have some strong backing behind them. If I didn't write to the registrar raising these issues, if I didn't write to the presidency again, I would still be inside jail. That is the truth of the matter. And I've instructed my office to file an international legal complaint against the federal government in Nigeria. So next time you hear maybe the presidential jet has been seized or the NNPC account in the Caribbean have been seized or anywhere in the world, you know, possibly is connected. Possibly is connected.
Wow, wow, wow. And it gets darker. You're saying you were actually locked up for 5 months, not by criminals, but by the state agents. That exactly what exactly happened there?
That okay, that's what I was telling you. That it actually originated according to what they want us to believe. That there was a debt owed to a hotel where I stayed, and I paid part of it, and I didn't pay part of it, and I was tracked, supposedly tracked by whom I don't know, because I know the tracking process. I know how long it takes. I know who is involved. I know if they want to track you, they can track you, but you have to go through the process, including getting a magistrate or a judge to issue the authorization. There's authorization process you need to go through. Um, Bottom line, I was arrested, actually seized. I would say arrested. I was seized without even saying a word by four policemen out of the Cabo police station, taken to the Cabo police station. This was from, I think, somewhere around area 10. I don't know Abuja that well. So when I come in, I stay, I lost my hotel, go back to the meetings and then go back to my hotel. We don't really hang out that much. Seized from there to the police station. From the police station the next day, we're in court for a debt which has documentation and agreement saying this amount of money is owed and will be paid once the federal government pays us. Because the reason for me being here, or was that time being me being in Nigeria, was to pursue this payment from the government. To make it even more interesting, like I explained earlier, that they are from the police to the prosecutor to the magistrate and the registrar. It's all connected to the NIA. That is clear from my discussions even with people in the NIA. To make it worse is okay. I've told you the figure that the federal government owes, right? It is 14 point something million euros.
Euros.
The alleged debt is less than $1,500. That's the reason I spent 5 months in incarceration.
Behind bars.
Yeah, not more than $1,500.
Wow, wow, wow. So you were locked up for 5 months. Prof, who signed off on that detention? Give us names. Nigerians want to know.
Ah, the chief magistrate from the Karo uh, roundabout court, magistrate court, the chief magistrate from the Karo roundabout magistrate court. I don't remember his name. But yeah, I think he's from the north. I don't remember his name, but I can check all those details and provide them later. Um, the prosecutor's name is Osho. The IPO, her name is Blessing. I don't remember her last name. And then the DPO at the time was a guy I think from Kogi. I don't know if he's still there or not. And this matters are actually still proceeding. Huh? It's not done yet. The threat is real and it's still proceeding. The matter is still proceeding. It's not like okay, I was released on bail, but the case is still on.
Well, Prof, some would ask, why now? Why speak up after 20 years? Is this about justice or it is about the money?
Okay. Two things. Like I said from my outset of the introduction, I said this is a very sad day. And when I say it's a very sad day, I know exactly what I mean. The threats or threats are real. They are present and they have not gone away. It's only the president that can put a stop to it, both from the NIA's perspective, because the NSA is supervising the NIA and the president supervises the NSA. It's only the president. It's only the president that can approve the payments again for invoices, incurring costs and expenses. And it's only the president that can make this criminal case go away. Nobody else. If it's just a normal criminal matter, if I'm guilty, I'm guilty. I wouldn't contest it. But when you have a civil matter that bounds or bounces off, and then you have people pulling the strings, and it becomes a criminal matter that a person will spend 5 months in prison. I know Obasanjo was in the same prison, Abiola was in the same prison. I know that from my research. Like I said, I'm writing two books, and all these gruesome details will be in there. Um, it will not be something that the authorities would love to hear or read, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. So if I'm only beginning to wonder if the NIA can treat you this way, someone who represents Nigeria abroad, what chance does the ordinary Nigerian have against their power?
Well, let's begin with the NIA treating its own director the way it treated its own director. Let's begin with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs treating a senior director the way it treated the senior director. I told you from the during the narrative that not even the cleaner from the embassy came to the appeals court. Vrekni sod in Czech language. Vrekni, which means higher appeal court. Not even a cleaner came. So for a director who's been murdered, assassinated inside his office, and the embassy and the senior staff, even the NIA itself, did not deem fit for them to appear during the appeals trial, appeal matter. It shows you how serious, in quotes, the country really is. You know, after this whole saga, the discussion on all Nigerians, including Africans, in the Czech Republic and most of Europe was if a senior diplomat can just be assassinated like a hen or a fowl inside his office without the federal government doing anything, how much less any Nigerian on the streets? The same thing you've asked me, the same thing I have said repeatedly. If we have a solid foreign policy, which we really don't, because I know we will not be discussing this. If you have a solid foreign policy, you just tell people, look, my citizens are in no-go area. But the same Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I don't want to castigate anybody, but I'm just simply saying the way they handle this whole matter, it just shows one thing. It's very unserious. Let me expand by telling you that aside from the ministries which I've mentioned, the presidency, the CEO of the diaspora, Abike Daberi, she knows about
Yeah.
this matter, even when she was in the House and Senate. Other senior committee chairmen, they all know about this matter. It's not like they suspect, they guess. No, they know very well about this matter. Now, if you look at the totality, you understand that there are powers high up who do not want. If I don't think it's about the payments really, who do not want this matter to come to light. Me bringing it out to light now after 20 years, for the first time, the public hearing my voice, seeing me and hearing me tell the story, they will wonder this guy has really been extremely patient. Some people are not even born yet when this matter began. Those people are over 20 years now. For the government to say they have not paid a citizen who sacrificed so much and then go behind the scenes to orchestrate that same citizen being locked up for over 5 months, and the danger is still above, hovering above the citizen's head of being incarcerated again. Who knows? They might manipulate and find me guilty. Like I said, Abiola was in the same prison, Obasanjo was in the
Sure.
same prison. It's a privilege, even though I did absolutely nothing wrong, other than the fact that I was defending the country's honor, the deceased family's honor, even the NIA and NSA's honor and the presidency's honor. To turn around and do this, knowingly because it's not a mistake. A mistake is when you hit your foot, yeah, but not when you orchestrate such a thing, especially when you know and it's been documented that this series of things are happening. You just simply stay silent, you don't take any action, and then you claim, okay, well, we didn't know about it. It's all documented. You're not going to tell me the chief of staff and the legal counsel did not know I was in jail, incarcerated because of this. They know because I wrote to them, and it was delivered by courier. And if it's documented, it's documented.
So, Prof, for the sake of time, I will ask you only two questions and we'll wrap it up. If today something were to happen to you, God forbid, because you speak out, who should Nigerians hold responsible and why?
Ooh, that's a long list. By the time you start hearing out, they tell you they want to form a committee to look into this, to look into that, to look into this. Well, the buck stops with the president. The buck stops with the president. All the other senior officers, ministers, ambassadors, secretary federal government, they're all pawns. The buck stops with the president. If Nigerians should hold anybody accountable and responsible, it should be the president, nobody else. It's unfortunate that I'm saying it should be the president. I'm not saying only the president, this president, because this matter began during Obasanjo's time.
Yeah.
Went into Yaradua for his first tenure.
Good luck,
Unfortunately, he
Jonathan.
died. RIP, Alhamdulillah. Good luck, Jonathan, Buhari, and then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So he survived five presidencies, five, not one, five. And with each and every one of the presidents we have written, with each and every one of the presidents we have written. So for whoever is listening now and then saying, he's probably bringing this up for whatever reason, you know that we have been extremely patient. We have been extremely patient. If the president wants it to go away, to go away right this minute. His authority, his orders can never be flunked. So the box stops with him. I can give you a whole laundry list of who should be responsible, but it's the president. He's the president, nobody else. If he decides today,
Finally,
NSA goes,
yes.
NIA goes, he decides. Yes.
Finally, Prof, at the end of the day, do you believe Nigeria is a country that protects its heroes or one that destroys them once they have served their purpose?
Hmm. That's an interesting one. Um, I'll give you a little bit of story. I don't want to prolong the interview, but let me give you a little bit of story. When the His Excellency Ambassador Nuhu Bajuga Audi requested that we assist in this matter, it was the ambassador, the senior diplomats, the top officers from both foreign affairs, justice. I met Adoke during one of my times in Nigeria. I met Adoke, had the meeting with Adoke in his office. He said, "My junior legal counsel, you have done the work with your colleagues. It's not my money. Just give us the time to process, and then we'll pay you." I was with African Union then. Professor Akpa, who was Adoke's essay at the time, took me by hand to meet the person who was handling the matter. A guy called Pius Oche, Aruma Oche's brother. I know he retired Ministry of Transport and the Director of Legal. Do you know that I went back to Nairobi for 1 week, came back to Nigeria to receive an update because he said it could not be done via mail? Who does that? When I arrived at the Ministry of Justice after Adoke Sang's intervention. I met Pius Ote. You know what he told me? That he's processed a request and he has sent it back to Prague. I have to go to Prague to receive his response. So the next day, I flew back to Nairobi. From Nairobi, I flew to Prague. And when I flew to Prague, I was told that sorry, we received a response from Nigeria, but it's not for you. Even though we were the addressee, they made a copy and gave us the copy. So we don't have any original of that response up until today. We have been accused of saying, well, there was a response, you didn't acknowledge, you didn't reply. If you reply to me with the original of what I sent you, if I made a complaint, you reply to me with the original, I'll have no choice but to answer you. But if you give me a photocopy, then it's like by the side. Now, to answer your question, does Nigeria treat its citizens who have sacrificed? You know, the answer is no. It's no, and it's very sad. Why? Because I'm in diaspora and a lot of diasporans, and Nigeria cannot live and survive without diaspora. We know that. Time and again, we see how much diaspora sends into the country over the years. The statistics are there. For the government to treat one of its own in diaspora and then have that threat, imminent, real threats of continuous incarceration, we know that it's far, very, very far from honoring citizens who sacrifice. It's very far and it's very sad.
Please, before we finally quit, may I have the opportunity to ask just one or two questions to our guest here, Mr. Asu. Can you please enlighten us on the plight of the family of that Nigerian consul? How they faring? How did Nigeria eventually treat the family? I mean, with what prism are they looking at Nigeria today?
Okay, the family of the late Michael Lekare is survived by a son who was in Europe at the time. I don't know where he's at the moment, and he has a younger brother who is based in the UK. His cousin is the current Chief Justice of Rivers State, if I follow correctly. The family has not received any compensation from the federal government. That one I know for a fact. I'm not talking about his allowances from his death, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. He was died while carrying out duties on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in a foreign country in an embassy. Compensation should have followed for the fact that the federal government of Nigeria instructed us not to pursue the $800,000 plus, which we requested as compensation on behalf of the family. That speaks volumes by itself. In the Czech Republic, like most EU countries, there's what they call the Victim Compensation Fund. If the culprit cannot pay the compensation required or requested, then the Victims Compensation Fund steps in to pay. The embassy knows this. The federal government knows this because we instructed them. But they said we should not proceed on the civil matter until Abuja gives the instruction, which 20 years after we don't have a word. And it's past the statute of limitations already. So the family, as far as we know, did not receive a single dime in compensation But we have been informed, or were informed about a decade ago, that they opened a school and borehole or something of that nature in the village or community of the late Michael Lekariwai. That is not compensation. That is goodwill. Goodwill is for the community. Compensation is for the family. Whatever they decide to do with that amount of money, it is their business. You don't go to the community and open a borehole and open a school and say that is compensation. No, it is not. And this was not done by the Nigerian government, but by the Czech government.
This is shocking to hear.
Yeah,
Do you
a
have
lot
any
of things is shocking.
regrets?
Uh, regrets. I wouldn't say I have any regrets because, like I said, I know why personally. He and my uncle joined the service together on the same day. I would do this for him over again, but I'm just sad, truly sad from my heart because the government and the people in the government. If it was only one government, you say, okay, yeah, maybe it's that dispensation, but I've mentioned five from Obasanjo until Tinubu. This is like more than half of the years of democracy in Nigeria. It's not more than 20 years because Obasanjo came in and stayed and served 2 terms. This was towards the end of his first tenure, end of second tenure, and we're already in the going to the second tenure of the current president. So five presidents, and we're still discussing the same thing. Just this time around, it's even gotten worse. So I'm truly sad. I don't have regrets, but I'm truly sad.
Ibrahim, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prof. This is Wase Unfiltered. This is the show that gives voice to the voiceless. If you're watching us for the first time, welcome. You're definitely in the right place at the right time. To be part of our growing community, just click the link in the description. And hey, don't forget to like this video, hit that notification bell so you never miss when we drop fresh content. And of course, subscribe and share so together we can amplify more voices like yours. A big thank you to our guest today, Professor Usman E Asu from Prague, Czech Republic, for trusting us with this story. Thank you once again, Prof.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
His journey is more than personal. It forces us to confront deep questions about justice, leadership, and the kind of country we are building. Viewers, I have leave you with this. When those who defend the nation abroad come home to feel unsafe, what does that say about the safety of the rest of us? Think on that, and don't just think, engage, share your thoughts with us, talk about it with your friends, and let's keep this conversation alive. This is Wase Unfiltered, where your voice matters and the truth has no filter. Until next time, let's meet on the next episodes of Wase Unfiltered. Good night.